Gentleman felt the flicker of soft tender light that shimmers, a mysterious anomaly, an iridescent touching boundary. Insinuation wavering light on the surface point that scattered the night. The sudden flashing scintillate the intensity of mystery. Written on the beautiful home of the celestial glow. In a whisper, serving in the presence of soul. A roar unexpectedly comforted, a glowing strength and a shimmering star. An intense ignition, glistening skin. Suspension, felt tenderly endless dream. With nothing standing in between to separate shadow from sheen. Shimmer rose, the luster grows. The brilliant adjuster, the starlight cluster, a solemn conductor, revealing its justice, merciful. Behold our show, a mystery, ending emotional limiting, because you're so irresistibly, the cause of blissfully. Right within victory, and as far as the eye can see, shimmering eternity. Behold our shore, a mystery. Simply felt the flicker. It's like tender love, a shimmer, a mysterious anomaly, an iridescent touching boundary. Infinity wavering light on the surface point, it's always denied. The sudden flashes scintillate the intensity of most favorite memory, the beautiful. All of us and natural, and with the same presence of soul. A roar unexpectedly comforted, a glowing dream, then a shining master. Much information, the glowing screen suspension. But tenderly lovely, with nothing standing in between to separate shadow from sheen. Shimmer, the luster grows, the brilliant adjusted, the starlight cluster, the solemn conductor, revealing its justice. Behold our show, mystery. Keeping the Sabbath, the meaning of love. The meaning of the Sabbath goes beyond mere physical rest. Keeping the Sabbath signifies a state of solar consciousness, which means the cessation of the personal ego-driven effort with total reliance on the sublime source. The true meaning of love. Keeping the Sabbath represents the return to center. This involves where one's personal awareness stops believing it's doing and begins being by harmonizing with the sublime rhythm, awareness consciousness. Thus, resonance of experiencing inner peace and liberation through enlightened awareness. Keeping the Sabbath in Scripture involves non-doing and renunciation, involving the complete surrender of evil and worldly attachments. Luke 14:33. Trusting in truth instead of personal understanding by adopting a state of it is no longer I, but Christ material consciousness. Galatians 2:20. Jesus describes this as one must deny self and take up the cross. Matthew 16:24. Renouncing the hidden things of shame and worldly passions, the illusions and delusions, negativity of belief. 2 Corinthians 4:2, Titus 2:2. Renunciation is where the person denies the reality of this false world and its systems. This is an internal shift that involves letting go of all once held as true by embracing the supreme presence. The purpose of renunciation also turns letting go of error of beliefs caused by thinking. The world ego does not understand man means thinker, who shrouds consciousness, purity. So the only presence is not thought, but the function that endures truth of the realm of Christ's material consciousness, the ideal and original purity. In renouncing the world ego, there is a realization of error. Anything that contradicts soul, the only presence, the essential to experiencing truth. Keeping the Sabbath removes the external, historical, and worn-out beliefs by guiding them towards gnosis, direct experience, non-doing. The Sabbath. Keeping the Sabbath is the promised land of rest. Through renunciation, the mechanism of releasing the false, by achieving the state of unity, is adhering to truth. In the world, the Sabbath is delegated to a mere day off from labor. That doesn't even make sense when there's only one power, omnipotent. Renunciation, or the Sabbath, is the realization the false self or world was the source of belief in an outer power, that there could ever have been an ability for the personality to do anything using the body. And it was only a belief that the worldly illusion had caused, because it is merely the projection of the mind, the fallen state of the virtual reality. Keeping the Sabbath is the elimination of going against the flow and riding the celestial current of abiding within truth, the return to inner reliance. In the Kabbalistic and mystical traditions, the Sabbath is termed Shabbat, referring to a queen or a bride, symbolizing the feminine receptive power, the Kairos, a time to receive, sublime light, Shekinah, rather than an act of pursuing these blessings. Keeping the Sabbath represents a break from the fabricated demands of mental, the spirit, stressing of the senses, and emotional bondages of oppression, which holds the conscious focus constantly outwardly, causing anxiety, anxiousness, and delusions of striving. The awakened consciousness is the state of keeping the Sabbath. This is where one has reached the distinction between sacred and where secular dissolves, turning all days into a Sabbath of inner undisturbed peace. By keeping the Sabbath, the awakened consciousness implies the ceasing from all personal effort and belief in one's own works and rest in the individual materialism consciousness, the reflection and contemplation of Christ's material consciousness, the abode of soul, the omnipresence. When the awakened consciousness unfolds, there is only rest. Even though the world ego seems to continue and the body seems to be participating in the temporal activities, the awakened consciousness abides within the understanding of all its emptiness and stands confidently and awaiting its dissolution. That is revealing purity. One now rest from outer labor by ceasing daily occupation of distractions of cultures, societies, families, and surrender fully to meditation. One point focus on truth, soul, the only presence. The Sabbath is kept once awakened consciousness is firmly established. Having passed beyond Sabbathani, the cry of being at the darkest hour of crucifixion, when the sensual is passing away and it looks as though one is giving up life, including every good, here one may feel forsaken, but inner truth reveals wholeness, holiness, and the glorious resurrection is attained and greater enlightened state realized more than ever before, always follows the letting go of the old in order to reach the Sabbath. This sacrifice of the personal will was the refining process that is constantly going on within consciousness, the keeping of the Sabbath. Christ's material consciousness, the abode of soul, the only presence, is in control. Now one is considered the salt of the earth. One that understands love is being devoted to truth as a demonstration of the restitution of one's solar birthright. Righteous heirs, avatar, the result of redemption, The change from the air of sin, or missing the mark, to righteousness. Awakened consciousness is keeping the Sabbath. The embodied gnosis that frees one from all limitations and lifts the personality as the overcomer. So the omnipresence, 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 so the omnipresence. Written on the land of beautiful, singing on the present. Because show you a mystery, singing in the present.